mean, there's so many things that played a role in this. Pricing was a huge one early on. We fixed it in the last year,
Mm,
but you've got to be very diligent about your pricing. And I spent way too much time, pricing to land a project instead of pricing
mm,
to earn a profit.
hmm.
Um, so that was a huge thing. Pricing is massive, but frankly, if I was making more profit, I would have found a way to spend that money anyways and call that reinvesting in the business.
Hmm.
So if I had to distill it down to one thing of like what went wrong, it would be Kobe's ego and trying to grow the biggest business that I can and have the most trucks and crews on the road and do the
Yeah.
coolest, biggest projects and um, try to look as good as I can, which I think we did look good.
I thought you looked good, man.
I
I think you still look good, by the way.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, and we had a great reputation. We always did fantastic work and our clients loved us and we did really,
Hmm.
really cool projects. But I was paying way too close attention to the vanity metrics and not
Hmm.
nearly close enough attention to, the numbers that actually matter. So when I say that, perfect example is trying to grow revenue as much as possible and tell people, oh my God, I've got 8 employees. It's a real business, instead of paying attention to, hey, how much money is actually left over, at the end of the day? How much money are you actually making? It's really easy to make the biggest revenue number possible if you don't actually profit from.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really wise words, man. I commend your heart of like just, face like just being honest of like the biggest variable is my ego wanting like more revenue, more trucks on the road. A lot of business owners kind of fall into that trap and it's a slippery slope, especially when you're funding a lot of stuff with debt. Um, One of my business coach I've used for a long time, Michael Oakes of Sundance Coaching, very big numbers guy, and he's always told me, he said, business is a sport or it's a game, and profit is the scoreboard. Like that's the number at the end of the day. Um, it also underscores too. I know you sought mentorship and coaching from a variety of places. I know some good, some bad. And so a big takeaway too, at least that I have from your experiences, mentorship is so important, and to seek guidance and mentorship from those who are doing what you want to do. But one of my favorite coaching questions to ask is like, well, how much are you making? Like I'd be asking that to anyone I'd be hiring as a mentor, a coach, like the real tangible profit numbers and not just the vanity, because a lot of that stuff is can be more revenue driven. So thank you again for sharing kind of the heart of that. Um, any other thoughts before we kind of zip backwards and we kind of go through like what all happened to get Kobe up to that kind of boiling point? Because there is so much great stuff that you did, man. I mean, just most of it is so positive and productive and helpful. And at such a young age, man, it's just so impressive. But any other kind of final takeaways or thoughts as far as like the ultimately the company going under?
Yeah, probably too many thoughts. The biggest thing I'd want anybody to take away from it is ending up in a position like that is tough. That was by a long shot up to this point in my life, most difficult thing I had to deal with. Like laying off those employees because of mistakes I made. By far hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And it was because Kobe wasn't a diligent business owner, paying attention to the things that actually mattered. Um, and a lot of it for those first 3 years or so. I mean, it was just the whole time. I mean, it was just a grind. And owning a business is, but I almost took too much pride in that. I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be hard, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but it should be hard in the right ways, and not
Mm,
hard for 4 years being like, man, where's the next payroll gonna come from? You got that
yeah.
many years in a row where you're wondering where payroll is gonna come from, man. You gotta take a look, and the answer is not just growing your revenue numbers.
Mm,
Um, and I alluded to earlier, spent a lot of time on YouTube, and it's easy to get kind of caught up in the all the online gurus and all the stuff they're telling you. And something I heard that stuck with me in completely the wrong way is, all the people that talk about using leverage to grow your business in the sense of using debt to grow your business.
Mm,
And I was like, man, yeah, that's a great idea. So I'm like, yeah, debt's good. Debt's leverage because I'd heard it so many times from these people on the internet. Obviously, the way I did it was not the way they were talking about. Um, but so you can't just take it at face value. Sounds super obvious,
mm,
saying it out
mm,
loud. But
mm,
and then the other thing was, you gotta take risk in business, which you do. Business is risky, but that doesn't mean you can't be, again, diligent and educated as you're taking risk. Like just because something's risky doesn't mean you should take the risk.
mm. Yeah, that's great, man. Absolutely. Business is a risk. I mean, that's why there is like bankruptcy as well, because it's productive for the economy for people to take risks on these businesses that produce jobs and tax income and a lot of goodness. I mean, it's kind of America's backbone, if you will, is people that are risking to open up the bagel shop, open up the construction company, home builders, etc. Um, a couple things I noted there is the strain of year four and still like gosh, payroll's coming up. Like, how long am I gonna do? Like, is this sustainable? Like, look at these big, huge numbers and money coming in and out of the bank. Um, I absolutely believe there is that investment in the first year or two that it's a lot of elbow grease figuring things out. I would encourage anyone, of course, you need to make a living wage to pay your stuff, like soon, quick as possible, like within the first year for most, unless you've got some cash and are planning for, a longer kind of timeline. Um, but profit is a muscle, and the more you work it, the better you get at it. That was from Mike Michalowicz, Profit First. If anyone listening has not read the book Profit First, they actually have one, Profit First for Contractors. It's tailored for contracting companies. I have not read that one, but he talks about profit as something that it takes work to take it from your business, and that's where the Profit First system is important. But it just shines a light on that, like, you really got to be working to be profitable as soon as possible, and so you can take care of yourself, your family, alleviate that mental stress, that burden, not build up debt, which is expensive. That interest expense when you don't need to have it is very expensive on the bottom line. Um, and so profit must come sooner than later. So that's an encouragement I have to all of our listeners. Even if you've got this growth potential top line, be honest about your profit and what would bring a smile on your wife's face or your family's face or your face, that you could feel that security, if you will, at least to a minimal level, where you're not stressing like crazy of taking on debt to fund payroll. That is not good. The other note I have is family support. You are engaged. Kobe, we're filming this March of 2026. So if it's past November, congratulations to Kobe because he'll be a married man to his fiance, who's been such an amazing support. So it underscores the amount of support you have too, man. Being a young man going through uh, a more difficult situation than most will go through in their entire life. You obviously have done a lot of work on yourself and your own heart to, um, you know, overcome the burdens and the battles of going through something like that. And then also the family and friends surrounding you is just incredible. And obviously, I get a little closer peek into that, which is it's just an amazing thing. So those are a couple takeaways I heard from, what you just said there. Profit must come sooner and later. And like your family, the people around you, as that stress and that kind of problems build up, they will spill over. And so you need their support, and it's kind of like this two-way street of doing the work you need to do to support them and also taking that support from them to keep the ship moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you said a lot of super, super important stuff there, but profit, obviously, most important thing, arguably, in a business. And a lot of it again was me kind of gaslighting myself and being like, man, I'm early 20s, I'm at times single, I don't have a family, like my expenses are low. I'll sleep in my truck if I have to because I'm reinvesting in the business, and that's why profit's so low.
Mm,
Not what it is. Reinvesting in the business. should come from the net profit of the business after the owner has been paid.
Mm.
That's what
Yeah.
reinvesting in a business actually should look like. And
Yeah.
the whole thing helped me kind of reframe, my whole perspective on life, I guess. Because again, at the time, young kid trying to build a business and trying to be, ultra successful and, um, again, ego getting in the way of things. Just having that like grind set mentality and like, this is the most important thing and I'll do anything to sacrifice for this business. It's going to be as big as possible. And then it all blows up in your face and you kind of realize, okay, that's not the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
And I told Jason this, but when I made the decision to close the business and things started blowing up in my face, I went to Margot, my fiance. We were engaged for, a few months at this point, and I was like, hey, here's the situation. This is really bad, right? Like, probably gonna go bankrupt. Business is gonna get shut down. I don't know what this is gonna look like, but you didn't sign up for this. Like, you didn't think that this is what we were signing up for. You thought, oh, Kobe's a successful business owner and you're going to take care of me and everything. And I was like, you didn't sign up for this. So, if you want to, nobody would blame you for leaving. And she didn't bat an eye. And she said, it's my turn. I got it. And so she,
Mm.
towards the end there, she really carried me through it.
Mm.
Made me realize what's really important.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. Shout out to Margot. What a wonderful woman to have behind you. One note I had is investing in the business from profit. I'm personally a big advocate of that as well. Obviously, there's plenty of internet and business people that would go against that. Um, and why I'm for it is that I think investing in the business, growing the business from profit after you pay yourself is most practical and realistic for most people. I think 75 to maybe 90% of business owners are not going to be able to use debt productively to have it be a positive ROI, right? I think most debt is people cannot use debt very well. And it's no fault to them. It's a tricky, weird thing, and if you don't know what you're doing, it can create a really slippery slope. Actually, I used to work in banking. It was my career before it ate my soul, and I started, marketing. Um, and when I was in college, I worked as a teller accounts person, and we'd have these credit card promotions of, if you get so many credit card applications, you get all this, incentive, $20 here, and there's competitions. And I told my manager straight up, I was like, I'm not gonna push credit cards on people because I see the not the evil, but just the bad things. I see it all the time because we pull up their accounts and you can see someone's debt and how they cannot healthily use a credit card. They cannot healthily take out a line of credit or a home equity loan. So I'm an advocate for investing in your business from profit from the standpoint of it's best for most people. And it assures your kind of support for yourself and your family, and that kind of healthy mind too. At least you don't have that financial burden, which can really wreak havoc on someone's mindset, on their decision making. So, wise words there, in my opinion. Investing in the business from profit. It's always what I tell people when you're going to hire somebody, do it from profit. Don't take a pay cut. Your family's not going to appreciate that unless it's agreed upon and there's a plan for it.